fantasy sports and sports wagering, and this is an area that we haven't heard, which is fairly new concepts, especially the sports betting, and that's what this hearing is going to have a focus on in terms of them items. And this is the first that we've heard in a number of years since me taking over the gaming negotiations. I'd like to recognize Senator Terry Link has joined us here, who's the Senate sponsor of Senate Bill 7, and I'd like to ask him if he'd like to say a couple words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure being here and getting the opportunity to hear about this again. Obviously, it's of quite interest to me with being the chief sponsor of Senate Bill 7 and numerous other Senate gaming bills that have been sent over. I look forward to listening today intensely on the various ideas that people have to make this a better and stronger bill. And I thank you for having this subcommittee, Mr. Chairman.
So Chairman and members of the subcommittees, thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Lindsay Slader. I'm the VP of Regulatory Affairs at a company called GeoComply. We're a global leader in geolocation technology, and we support regulated online casino, poker, sports betting, lottery, advanced deposit, horse wagering, daily fantasy sports in 42 U.S. states. To ensure compliance with state and federal regulations. And we're licensed in a number of these states to conduct this business as a geolocation provider. So while geolocation it's been raised at state and federal hearings before as a bit of an Achilles heel for the iGaming industry, these views are based on false premise that geolocation systems used by iGaming operators in Europe are the same as those used in highly regulated jurisdictions in the US, particularly in New Jersey, which I'm going to talk about today. However, the reality couldn't be further from the truth. Our company was founded solely for the purpose of delivering a geolocation system fit for purpose in the US market. In short, GeoComply was designed solely to solve the problem of geolocation compliance for online gaming. We recognized from inception the gravity of the challenge facing U.S. intrastate models and the need for the highest caliber technology to act as the legal enabler and safety net for facilitating intrastate betting and gaming. We exist to ring-fence virtual state borders on behalf of online operators and regulators to uphold federal legislation such as the Wire Act, the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act, and the individual sovereignty of states that choose to opt in or out of gaming. So since launching 5 years ago in New Jersey, we now provide 100%, or provide our service to 100% of U.S. online gaming operators, all major iLottery platforms, and all the online sportsbooks that have come online recently in New Jersey. So as an example of what we do across 250 million devices that are installed globally, I'm going to show you a little demo of how we are actively ensuring that Illinois sovereignty is currently protected through our geofencing to ensure that no bet or wager from inside Illinois' borders is accepted by our customers elsewhere. Should Illinois choose to change its laws in the future and move to accept online wagers of any form online, I'm here to attest to the fact that there's highly effective and sophisticated geolocation technology in existence today to make the intrastate model work for within your borders. This means forgetting the idea of a simple IP address check to buy a lottery ticket online, of which there's been such cases publicized causing concern in the past. Today, highly regulated U.S. jurisdictions call for technology that must detect and block the use of proxies, VPNs, remote desktop software, virtual machines, jailbroken devices, mock location settings, developer tools, anonymizers, the list goes on. By the time our system is approved or denied a transaction online, it will have been subjected to over 350 analytical checks, and databases of several thousand known spoofing programs will have been cross-checked to verify that only legal bets are permitted inside the state. In addition, all transactions are monitored and analyzed using the latest big data and machine learning tools to identify any signs of threats or indication of possible attempts to engage in location fraud. So we actively work with law enforcement bodies, state police, to assist in investigations into such attempted behavior. And the depth and credibility of our data provides valuable support to ensure that the ecosystem around iGaming remains safe and secure, and also has an overlap in upholding the integrity of payments and age and identity verification. So this live map here shows real-time geolocation checks happening in New Jersey. Approximately 80% of New Jersey's current online poker and sports traffic originates from within 10 miles of the border. So this really highlights the importance, but also effectiveness of pinpoint accurate geolocation technology. Each of the dots here on the map represents a desktop computer, an iPhone, an Android, or a tablet device being securely located either to play within state borders legally or to block play from outside of the borders. So the red pins represent users who are in New York and are unable to play, yet we're able to facilitate acceptance of bets right up to the banks of the Hudson River without an issue. So these checks occur throughout the duration of an online session, where the frequency of the checks is determined based on your proximity to the border, and as well as a host of other factors. It's worth pointing out that this system is flexible and dynamic enough to cope with the fact that users can and do place bets as they move from place to place. They live in one state, they work in another. We see such cases of this every day. It will be particularly relevant here in Illinois, where approximately 47% of expected users are within 10 miles of the state borders. So the ability to validate that these users are in fact in state and not out of state also affects the commercial viability of offering online gaming. So to avoid the inherent risks of this type of traveling across borders behavior, the use of similarly accurate and technically robust technologies should at minimum be in place for legal compliance purposes, but also to ensure the success of an intrastate model here in Illinois. So in conclusion, for the last 5 years, there haven't been any hiccups in doing this in places such as New Jersey, Nevada, Delaware, soon to be other states. Borders have been successfully protected. Players are able to be accurately geolocated and get on and play on an online site if they're inside a permissible state. And I therefore don't see any problems from a technical perspective so long as sufficient geolocation is deployed here. So I thank you very much for your time and consideration, and we'll take any questions you may have.
And start with the geofencing company. Do you have any market competitors for your company? Or you guys have the sort of are you the monopoly on it? I don't mean to say that in a derogatory way.
No, it's okay.
With tech companies, sometimes there are no competitors.
Yeah, to answer your question, for regulated online casino and poker in the U.S., which is Nevada, New Jersey, Delaware, we support 100% of the geolocation services. Not because we're the only ones that can do it, but because nobody else can be bothered to do this dirty work. It's a constant game of cat and mouse that takes us a dedicated staff of 6 people to maintain full time.
In your experience with so far in New Jersey with mobile sports books, my understanding is that they set up geofences so that nobody can get in and play from another state. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed, are you able to audit yourselves and see if that's been breached at all? Is your sense that the internal compliance has been graded pretty well on that? Do you do those sorts of checks, and how well have they come up?
Yeah, so for every check that we do, there's over 350 different checks that we do to cross-reference data to make sure that where somebody is real data that hasn't been manipulated. I would say in terms of the Division of Gaming Enforcement, the regulatory body in New Jersey, their technical requirements for how geolocation works to ensure that someone is where they say they are is so incredibly robust that it's to a level of almost insanity what we have to do. But that being said, people still hack into the FBI. Nothing is 100%. And there's definitely plenty of people that will try multiple malicious attempts to get in from out of state. And for more severe cases, regulators and state police will work with us to collect all the relevant data to go after these malicious users.
If we were to implement a mobile platform for sports betting and we wanted to be ahead of, say, Indiana or Wisconsin, because their sessions later than us, or we have an opportunity to offer a better platform than them. Could the software be designed to allow for a broader fence than just Illinois' borders? Do you guys have that level of control over the?
Absolutely. So the way our technology works is it's embedded within your mobile app. It happens in the background. And so long as that technical integration already exists, so with all the major sportsbook platforms, casino, and poker platforms in America that would likely be supporting an Illinois market, they already have their technology embedded with ours, so it's essentially turnkey. Whether you want the border to look like the state of Illinois on a map or cut out a bunch of areas, maybe to block schools, government buildings, penitentiaries, reservations, anything like that, it's a matter of drawing it on a map in a couple of minutes to change that system.
Ms. Slater, so when you did the close-up of your presentation here, so walk me through it again. The green is
Okay, so
legal.
Yeah, I don't know if you
The
can
red is not legal.
So the red are, yes, unauthorized
Unauthorized,
users
thank you.
either out of state, or they're using some sort of spoofing software, VPN, or
Okay,
whatever
so
could disqualify
because
them.
when I was looking at it, I can't see where the boundaries are, but it looked like there was red arrows, dots in
Yeah.
next to the green one. So is that spoofing? Is that
I don't know if you could see this screen here, but
not since I turned 50?
the blue dots are PC and Mac devices, white are iOS and devices, iPhones and iPads, and green are Android devices. So the idea is that because spoofing software, like a fake GPS app that you might have on your phone, is so specific to what kind of device you're on, the technical methodologies of making sure that spoofing isn't happening is very specific depending on what device you're on, but also how you're connecting to the internet. So many different factors that all have to be considered, making it a pretty technical piece of work all to do in just a split second before a bet is placed.
And Representative Zaleski kind of asked about this a little bit, but do you have a compliance percentage? Are you compliant 99 or 95 or 90 or 99.9% of the time? Or
Well, I mean, the system is designed to prevent 100% of unauthorized users from getting in. Like I said, there's no system is 100% foolproof. So if somebody has ever got in, I don't think that they would be bragging about it. I mean, if you attempt to log in, if you're one of these red pins here on the map and you attempt to wager in New Jersey, you automatically see a pop-up message saying, according to New Jersey state law XYZ, you have violated the terms of this site and your information's been recorded. And if you make more than a couple malicious attempts, you're likely going to have your account suspended and preemptively disqualified from even attempting to continue because you're too high of a risk.
okay.
We've tested the system for all the jurisdictions here in the U.S., and we have ethical hackers within GLI that try to defeat it. So they've used things like VPNs.
Ethical hackers. I like that term.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Well, we tell them we're coming, and then we try to break in, and so we use VPNs, all the known technologies out there that are designed to disguise your location, and it defeats them all. It detects them all.